Welcome to Heather Sells NYC with your host, Heather M. Cooper. Each episode is focused on helping people navigate through the intricacies of buying and selling real estate in New York City to get the greatest value. You can find this show on all the major platforms, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on our website, heathersellsnyc.com. Now here's the host of Heather Sells NYC, Heather M. Cooper.
Hello. Thank you, Taylor, so much for coming on Heather Sells NYC. I really appreciate it. Just to give you a little bit of background about Taylor. Taylor is a financial advisor with UBS here in New York City. And I am so excited to have you. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me, Heather.
You're welcome. Do you want to tell the audience, tell the guests a little bit more about you, how long you've been a financial advisor, and how you got into being a financial advisor?
Yeah, of course. So again, thanks, Heather, for having me on. So I work at UBS. I'm on a wealth management team. There's about 4 of us. I'm a certified financial planner. Our clients are mostly individuals, families, a lot of young professionals, entrepreneurs, attorneys, and we help them create holistic financial plans and help them design investment portfolios to meet their goals. Everyone is so unique, and they need their own individualized goals, and that demands a personalized financial planning experience. So that's a little bit about what I do currently, and my background. I grew up in North Carolina. Growing up, I was always fascinated by the financial markets. My family, they were entrepreneurs, and I went to school down in North Carolina, UNC Wilmington. I've always wanted to live in New York City, so I thought, what better, than to work on Wall Street after graduation. So I moved up to New York about 10 years ago, and I've been working at UBS ever since. So yeah, that's a little bit about myself and my background.
That is really great. I mean, I know it's so funny. So many of my clients have dreams of living in New York City, and I love that you have major dreams a reality, and that's kind of similar to what you do for your clients, right?
Right. Yeah, and I think growing up in a family where both my parents, they owned a company. I saw, the late nights and all the work that goes into being an entrepreneur and owning your own business. And that's kind of what my team and I do. Our clients are our relationships, and we hope that our clients are with us for their lives, and then it's a multi-generational team. And so we kind of handle all age ranges of clients from, when you're first starting out working, helping them with budgeting and planning and those types of things, and all the way to retirement and, planning the rest of their lives. So yeah, I think growing up in that sort of family helped me have that, sort of entrepreneurial spirit,
No, I think it's great. I mean, to really see your parents expand and grow as entrepreneurs, and
Definitely.
yeah. What kind of business, just out of curiosity, did they have?
It was actually a nitrogen manufacturing business. It was down in North Carolina, and yeah, they just retired a couple of years ago. So they had it for 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, totally different than what I do. Both my parents were oh, you could do whatever you want. You want to be an engineer like us? And I'm not really.
Right. You're like, yeah, I mean, but you probably learned a lot from your parents in terms of like hard working and growing a business. You definitely, it sounds to
Right.
me like you took those skills from them.
Right. The work ethic is beyond. Like, you have to be so motivated and, like, waking up in the morning and, it's that, like, ambition, that, like, spirit that, like, entrepreneurs have. It's just yeah, it's really exciting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just out of curiosity for, I have a lot of people in the real estate space. I have a lot of buyers that may watch this, some sellers and just entrepreneurs that may watch
Yeah.
this. So,
Mhm.
would you have any advice for someone who reached out to me today who told me, okay, I want to buy, but I need, 2 or 3 years. How would you best advise for them to have that plan to grow their wealth and to save?
Yeah. Yeah, of course. No, that's a good question. I mean, everyone's circumstance is so different. So, if you're planning for buying, maybe like your first home in the next year, 2, 3 years, um, couple tips, like, I think planning for that down payment, obviously right now in this market that we're seeing, like, a larger down payment is ideal. It might be different in a couple years from now. Um, 20% is usually, around what you want to plan for, to get to in the next couple years of, saving for that down payment. Above and beyond that, factoring in, closing costs and buying furniture, moving costs, like, we really say, like, plan for about 25%, um, of the purchase price. So once you have that goal in mind, just really get into the habit of saving. So take a look at, your monthly income, and, maybe you want to save anywhere from 15 to 25% of your gross income every month. So just really, get into that habit of savings, build up that bucket that's, earmarked for this future down payment. You have time to, kind of rejigger your goals. And I always say, like, a lot of people are like, oh, like, I shouldn't be buying so many, like, lattes in the morning or something like that. It's really not even like, don't buy yourself a latte. Like, it's totally fine. It's like a $5, $6 latte. It's okay. Um, it's really like those larger purchases that, you need to think about, and take a step back, and now is a perfect time at the beginning of the year to look at, what you want the next couple years to look like for yourself, and look at your finances, look at your income, look at your expenses, and see what makes sense savings wise. Um, and then also, get familiar with the real estate market is probably the last thing I would say is, um, especially in the areas that you want to look in. Like, I know people that are in New York City, they're kind of, if they've been renting in Manhattan, they're like,
Mhm.
okay, like, should I buy in Manhattan? Should I buy in Jersey, Westchester, Long Island? Um, Go out there and, like, take a look at what, your options are. And, but most importantly, like, talk to a real estate broker, like you,
Mhm.
Heather, like, have a conversation with you and, like, see what your options are, because you're going to be like the best piece of advice. Like, you're going to give the best piece of advice, like, to people that are, looking to buy. So I
Of
think that's
course.
probably like the most important part.
Absolutely. I mean, I have a lot of clients that come to me in the early stages. And a lot of people, in New York City, we have 80% of the product is co-ops, as you may or may not know, and 20% are condos. So co-ops, there are a lot of nuances, and you
Of
do have to
course.
have a large a large cushion. So it
Mhm.
a lot of people don't realize that it is in their best interest, and it's, a complimentary buyer consultation. And,
Right.
all it takes is 30 minutes to know how to
Yeah.
get there. And that's probably the same for you, is somebody that has a goal or has a desire and wants to be financially free, right? Or
Right. Right.
how about,
Exactly.
if somebody has like a lot of debt, do you also help them, with, I guess it's all, is it really all about budgeting with being a financial advisor? Part
Yeah.
of the process.
So right, exactly. Yeah, I think like if you have quite a bit of debt, let's say it's like credit card debt, um, the first place that I would probably look at is, okay, like how many credit cards do we have open? Um, which credit card balance are the highest and which is the highest rate? And then we start paying down the one with the highest rate first. Um, and there's a lot of credit cards out there that you actually get like a 0% interest for like 12, 15 months. So it gives you a little bit of time to pay
Mhm.
that down.
Right.
Um, but most importantly, I'd probably say like, other than we're putting together a savings plan, a debt payment plan, um, talk with a mortgage lender, because they'll be able to, really look at your credit scores because those are huge factors in applying for a mortgage. Um,
Definitely.
Definitely building a relationship with a lender is helpful because even if you're looking in like, not for another 2 years, like we were just talking about, like it still makes sense to talk with someone because they're
Right.
going to give you like really, really good advice.
Right. I can't stress that enough, where it just gives you a plan. I mean, rates now maybe 6%, and that may scare people, but it just
Right.
gives you a plan to, somebody's credit may not be so great, and it may be a
Right.
little high now. It just gives you a goal to maybe 6 months. You could get your credit down, and then maybe the rate will also go down. So all this, I guess, is a really good combination to have a
Yeah.
plan. I guess that's really what we're referring to.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's definitely important. And um, yes, having building these relationships, like I want to stress that again because like having a relationship with you, Heather, having a relationship with a financial advisor or a certified financial planner like myself, or and having a relationship with a lender. Like having these people in your life to be able to like send a quick email and be like, "Hey, like this kept me up last night and I'm like really concerned about this aspect of my financial life." Um, or, you know, I'm really excited, like I want to start a family and I need to buy a home. Like getting in touch with these people in your life and building that sort of like that circle of,
Mhm.
you know, potential people that are going to help you along the way. Um, yeah,
Right.
it's really, really meaningful.
Exactly. I agree. Like it couldn't be more important. Like,
Right.
fortunate, like marriage, um, y- you know, babies also, and
Right.
unfortunately planning, for the inevitable, and making
Yeah.
sure that, you have that will, you have that trust, you have
Of course.
everything set
Hmm.
set in place. I mean, it's just so important. I guess there's many different, y- you know, um, life, um, different areas of life that
Right.
happens, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Stuff happens. And yeah, planning for it is will set yourself up for success.
Absolutely. So is there any I think you can speak about this. Is there anything that you're recommending to clients, like say bonds? Obviously a year from now, I get it. It might not be relevant, but we're just talking about like January 2024, like maybe somebody in their 30s who's just starting out. Like, would you say that mutual funds are good, or maybe to be more aggressive, like with stocks? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, and I think this really like ties into what we were just speaking about. And so simply put, so our team, we let our clients' goals dictate like all the investments they choose. Like if you're planning for, let's say, a goal of just like we were talking about, like a down payment in the future, we let that dictate the investments we choose. And I'll explain what I mean by that. So we like to think about our clients' wealth into three different segments or buckets. The first bucket is what we call a liquidity bucket. It's, money that's set aside that's pretty liquid. So like money market funds, treasury bills, CDs, high yield savings, that funds expenses, over the next 1 to 3 years. We want to keep that money liquid. So if we're planning for a down payment in 3 years or less, let's say we had invested that in like 100% equities, and in 2 years from now, the markets are down 20%. Not saying that's going to happen, not saying that's what we're thinking is going to happen. No one has a crystal ball. So it's important to keep that money safe. And right now with, how high yield savings accounts are, you can get close to 5%. It makes sense to just keep that earning, and you don't want to take really many risks with that money. And especially for something like a home that you're building, for your future, like you don't want to take any risks with that money. The next bucket or segment is, it's called longevity. And that's really like money that's funding like the rest of your life. So think like anywhere from the next or 3 years to the rest of your life. So retirement, much longer term, like let's say you want to buy like a vacation home, maybe like in retirement, different goals like that. That's the money that's, going to fund those goals. And then the last bucket is, we call it legacy. And the legacy bucket is really, funds that are going to benefit your heirs or your beneficiaries, or maybe it's a charity after you're gone. So things like donor advised funds, charitable investment trusts, those types of things. So that's kind of how we like segment, and that's the approach we take with clients. And that's really why we let it's hard to say, okay, like you're 30 years old and, you're kind of just building, your career's happening, you're making money, and you might have a family, you might not. Like everyone's circumstances are so different. So that's kind of why we take that approach, because that lets us like be really unique and customized with each client. I know that was like a long answer to your question.
No, I think it's great to have a customized approach. Obviously, you don't want to have a cookie cutter approach to each client, because they all have different goals, and all of your clients, I'm sure, are in different stages of their life and their earning potential, and obviously some are earning more or less than others.
Right.
Thank you for that thorough answer, though.
Absolutely.
I have another question. So I have a lot of clients that Obviously right now, as you know, mortgage rates are a little higher than they were a couple of years ago. So a lot of people are paying cash for
Yeah.
their homes. Do you have any sense, I mean, any feelings like if your client was like, "Hey, I'm gonna buy an apartment and take out $1 million," or does it again depends upon each client and how much they have invested again?
Right. Yeah. I mean, generally speaking, the rule of thumb is if you can earn more on your investments than the loan that you might take out, the interest expense, um, then it definitely makes sense to take out the loan. But right now, it's completely different.
Mm,
Loans are at 8%, and you might not be earning that much on your investments. Um, so in that case, if you have the cash and liquidity set aside, then generally speaking, like you would probably want to just use that cash and liquidity to fund um, the home purchase. Um, right
right.
now, like lines of credit, even the rates are just, I mean, they're pretty high. And the good part about like even if you were to still do like just the minimum down payment, um, you could always refinance, right? Like, I
Right.
mean, obviously there's again, you have to pay more closing costs like down the line when you refinance. Um, but that's something that like, you could think about. Is that something you're telling clients too?
Yeah, I think I think what clients could afford,
Hmm.
many years ago has definitely shifted because obviously the payment is higher. So
Yeah.
if they could afford $1 million a couple of years ago, now they can afford like 800. So that's where the hesitation comes in with buying because they're not happy
Hmm.
with what they can get. Um,
Right.
their money isn't going as far. Let's just say.
Right.
So yeah, and what else? So yeah, how would um like what excites you about um finance? Is it like do you have a love for stocks? And watching the market or watching the bond market. I mean, everything is so exciting. It's like real estate, right? I mean, no 2 days are the same.
Right. That's so true. There are no 2 days that are the same. Yeah, I mean, I got into this business. I didn't think that, in school, getting a finance degree, that I would be in wealth management specifically. I just knew that, global equity markets were fascinating, bond markets, and I knew that I wanted to be in this realm. But I will say, like, now having the opportunity to work in wealth management and being a financial planner, what excites me, and like when I get up in the morning, I'm like, how they say, like, this is a tangent, but when you like get up in the morning and you're like, oh, I don't want to like do this today, that's when you need to make a change, right? Like, I
Mhm.
really never experienced that working in wealth management because just as you said, no 2 days are the same. Like, I, these relationships that I have with my clients mean so much to me. I'm excited to like meet new people all the time and like sitting down with these families and like learning all about their entire picture, their backgrounds, their education, their history, um, their families, like just it fascinates me and it excites me and it gets me to like want to help them. Like I
Mm,
feel like at the end of the day, what really excites me and like makes me like want to get up in the morning and do this is like how rewarding it is seeing just for example, like a 529 plan, maybe like a college savings plan that we set up for a client, I don't know, let's say like 8 years ago, and the kid is, finally going to school and it paid off. Like they're able to use that to fund their kids' education because we set up that automatic savings plan for them. Things like that, just like really, and like getting that email saying like, oh, like, my kid's going to school, like super exciting. And it's, thanks to your guidance. That's what it really excites me.
Right.
It's the reward.
That really sounds rewarding. I mean, just to enable your clients to have what they want in their lives and for their children and for their partners, and having their second home if they desire, and really getting
Right.
that email. Then that really relates to what I do also. I mean,
Mhm.
I really take clients from renting and having that desire to purchase their dream home in New York City and making it a reality. And
Right. Exactly.
that's what
Yeah, you get that, like, it's like as soon as that transaction's closed, it's like you just helped this family or the individual buy their dream home. I mean, it doesn't get more rewarding than that.
No, it doesn't. And I mean, I love, getting the pictures and seeing the furniture, and knowing one of my clients that just closed had their first, Christmas at their home with their entire family. I mean, it's just so rewarding. I mean, it just really warms
Definitely.
my heart. So I can totally relate to you when you say that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah,
So
it's definitely like a very exciting work that we do.
absolutely. Absolutely. So Taylor, how, if somebody wanted to, one of my clients, or one of my viewers wanted to get in touch with you, how would they get in touch with you?
Yeah, they can reach out to me on LinkedIn. They could ask you for my contact. I'm happy to help, and we could set up a initial consultation, and go from there.
Great. And all of your contact information will be below. And I really enjoyed this conversation and learning more about you and how you work with your clients to build generational wealth. So thank you so much
Absolutely.
for coming on the
Thanks,
show and
Heather.
your time. I appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having me.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
You've been tuning into Heather Sells NYC with your host, Heather M. Cooper. You can find more episodes on all the major platforms, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on our website, heathersellsnyc.com. Thank you for your positive reviews, comments, questions, and for sharing this show with others.